Hey, what's going on, guys? Mcskillet here with another CSGO video, and today I'm making the ultimate gamma Doppler knives guide for CSGO. Gonna have everything you need to know about them in this video, and this video I tried to make it the best I could, so using this video there's pretty much no way you should be confused on any phases. If you get a gamma Doppler knife, you should be able to easily figure out what phase it is if you follow the method and the info in the video. So to get started, let's talk about the best way to identify the phase of your gamma Doppler. And the best way to identify the phase of a gamma Doppler is to look at the item icon, not what it looks like in game, because they actually vary. Each phase varies a lot. Some can have more of a certain color in game, but the item icon, which you can view by just opening it up in your Steam inventory and clicking on it, will always be the same. So one of these guys, the guy right here, he owns a real gut knife gamma Doppler Emerald, but then this other guy, he tried to name his phase 1 gut knife Emerald, even though this is not an Emerald gut knife gamma Doppler at all. It is simply a phase 1. The one right here is really an Emerald though, and this one is not. So in this video, the guy that owns CSGO Stash, he actually provided every single item icon for me, and I put them all in this video so you guys will be able to easily identify all the different phases. And all you have to do is, again, just look in your inventory, click on the item, and then you can see the item icon. But I've also provided all the in-game footage, but I want to make sure I have the item icons for you because those are always the same. And I don't believe every single gamma Doppler combination is dropped yet, but on CSGO.exchange they've actually already got the feature in where you can open up someone's inventory and then you can look at the item and it should display what phase it is, or whether it's Emerald or just one of the normal 4 phases. So that's a very easy way to determine the phase, even easier than looking at the icon. But I've also made the full guide showing off every single icon and every single gamma Doppler phase for CSGO. So at the top of the screen you can see the item icon, which is what you should look at to try to figure out what the phase is instead of looking at what it looks like in game. And in game there can be a lot of variation. Actually, phase 1 probably has the least amount of variation of a lot of these phases. It just kind of has a little bit of green, and then it's mainly the darkish purple color for the rest of it. It's kind of cool, but personally, I'm almost positive this is going to be the cheapest phase out of all of them, because people generally pay more for the most colorful phases just by looking at the prices for the other Dopplers, and this phase is by far the least colored one, so phase 1s I'm guessing are going to be the least expensive out of all these. And this one right here is the bayonet, and yeah, the green can kind of change depending on which one you get, but the item icon, where the green is in the item icon, will always be the same when you look at it in your inventories. But phase 1, it's almost all this grayish purple color, very little green on it, and there's actually different shades of green depending on what phase you have. Like this green is kind of a more darker green, but as we get to some of the other phases, there's actually lime green and kind of like a turquoise green. Lots of cool colors on these gamma Dopplers. I actually really like these, and the gut knife for this one, at least the one I got here, kind of stupid looking. All the green actually gets stuck in the handle part, it looks like, so this is probably the worst thing you can get for all these. Some of the other gut knives from the new case actually look pretty sweet, and some of the other phases for the gut knife look cool, but definitely not the phase 1, so that's probably going to be the cheapest thing out of all the gamma Dopplers. Alright, so now we got phase 2, and it's really important that you guys realize this is not Emerald. It's not like if your phase 2 is green enough, it's considered Emerald. There's actually a whole separate phase for Emerald, just like sapphires and rubies from the chroma cases. But for the phase 2, there's actually still a little bit of black in it, and it's just not the same color of green as the emeralds, but these are probably going to be worth the most out of all of the phase. Actually, I'm not entirely sure, but I know phase 2 is worth the most out of the chroma finishes for the Dopplers. But the phase 2 karambit, you can actually get one that's basically completely green on the play side, but again, it's just kind of a darker green. And you can look at the item icons on screen, and then you can just switch back and forth between the emerald ones at the end of the video, or actually somewhat near the end of the video, and you should be able to determine if your knife is actually an emerald or if it's just a phase 2, because the item icon is different for emerald, so that's how you can tell the phase. But for phase 2, there's always going to be a little bit of dark spots on it. I know the bayonet basically looks completely green in the item icon, but if you go to the part of the video where when we get to the emeralds, you can definitely tell the difference. But If you're looking for a budget emerald, I mean, you can definitely go for phase 2. These are definitely going to be worth more than phase 1, I know that for sure. And I mean, this flip knife, it basically looks completely green, so this is a really cool phase. A lot of the play sides can actually have some black spots on it, and the bayonet I had earlier had some massive black spots on it, and I don't think you can get a full M9 that's all green, of course, because the M9 is such a big knife, but you can actually get a lot closer than you could with the phase 2 for chroma normal Dopplers. And yeah, gut knife, pretty cool as well. It looks a little different in the item icon than what most of them look like in game. But the item icon, again, will always signify the phase. I don't want to see people calling these emeralds. If I see people calling these emeralds, I'm going to be a little disappointed. But make sure you guys just look at those item icons. They always tell you the truth, not the in-game stuff. But next up, we got phase 3. And just a little update, I might have gotten some people a little worried in my other video. These are not going to be the case-hardened killer, it looks like. I don't think you can get one that's full blue. I'm almost positive you can't really get one that's full blue. You can get one that's like half blue, like this Karambit right here. And it seems like Valve actually knows about the case-hardened blue gem community, because it would make perfect sense for them to have a full like aqua phase or full light blue phase, just like the emerald, and that would actually make probably a little more sense because obviously there's ruby and sapphire, so there's actually 2 different special phases, and well, then black pearl as well. But this time there's only one special phase, which is emerald. And it looks like they specifically did not go for a special all light blue phase, probably because it would really screw the people that spent a ton in case hardened items. So I think the case hardened people were actually good, because you can't really get one that's completely blue. You can get some that are blue, but I don't think these are going to replace case hardens at all, especially because they are always going to have green and black on them. It seems like no matter what you get. On the Karambits, you can get something kind of closer to like a case hardened blue gem, but it's really not the same thing. And on like the bayonets, it's not even close, because the knives are so big and stretched out so long. But this phase is actually pretty cool. It's probably going to be one of the more, it's going to be a lot more, or I know this is going to be more expensive than phase 1 for sure. Pretty sure phase 1 is going to be the cheapest one here, because this phase is actually pretty cool. Depending on the pattern, you get this light blue aqua color as well as the green. So it's definitely one of the better phases. It's kind of cool how these phases work. It's kind of similar to how the phases worked for the original Dopplers, but obviously the colors are completely different now. And yeah, this is the gut knife right here. The gut knives, I mean, some of them are actually kind of cool. And the icon for the phase 3 gut knife is not at all like the one I got in game. So be on the lookout. You could have a phase 3 gut that looks a little different than your icon. So make sure you're always paying attention to the icon if you want to figure out what phase it is. Or you can always just use CSGO.exchange, and I'm guessing Steam Inventory Helper is probably going to have an update where it just shows in your inventory what phase it is. But next up we got phase 4. Now the cool thing about these is it actually has the lime green color like I was talking about earlier. You can see all the icons for every single one of the different knives on the top of the screen. But these are definitely it's definitely one of the coolest phases, and yeah, it's got a little bit of gold on some of them as well. It's kind of just a gold highlight. That was on the original Dopplers as well, but it's mainly lime green. This is probably one of the least black patterns besides phase 2, or it doesn't really have too much of that darkish purple. It's almost completely colored throughout the entire knife, and I mean, some of these are really sweet. Like, this is probably a lot cooler than like a phase 4 normal Doppler. The phase 4 gamma Dopplers, they're actually super sick. As you can see, we got the lime green as well as the aqua blue color on this bayonet right here. It's actually really cool, and it probably won't be worth nearly as much as the emerald phase. So if you're looking for just a cool knife to get, these phase 4s, very cool. I like them a lot. The M9 bayonet doesn't really fit the entire texture though, because it's such a big knife, of course. But the bayonet looked very cool for this, so that's probably one of the better knives to get this on. And flip knife, you can also get the entire thing colored, so very sweet. I'm not really sure how the prices will work when it comes to phase 2, 3, and 4, but I do know that phase 2, 3, and 4 are going to be worth more than the phase 1. Phase 1 definitely seems to be the most inferior of all of the different phases, so that one probably won't be worth as much. But these other phases, I'm not really sure. Phase 2, I mean, that one has to be worth a decent amount, especially on the karambit, because you can get those full green, like, fake emerald pattern. Oh god, I don't really want to hear people trying to say fake emerald. I know a lot of people got annoyed about how people were trying to call phase 2s like fake rubies, even though actually the phase 2s on these, they do look a lot closer to an emerald than the old phase 2s look to a ruby. I will give them that, but we'll have to see what people start calling these. But now, on to the real emeralds. These aren't the fake phase 2 emeralds. These are actually really, really sweet. And I find it kind of funny that they added these, because I've suggested it so many times in videos. And maybe I just got it right, because I mean, it does make perfect sense for them to add this. But, or maybe there's a guy at Valve that like came across one of my videos or something, but it was already in the game files for the emerald phase. I mean, that's what I was calling it too, emerald. So this is very, very cool. Super glad they added this, and this is going to be the most valuable of all the phases. I'm almost positive, because it is much rarer than all the other phases. At the time of recording this, there's only been 2 gut knives unboxed, and they both have emerald. I don't think any of the other knives have got an emerald drop yet, and personally, me myself, I'm going to try everything I can to get a stat track karambit emerald, and I may have to end up buying it, but I'm going to be opening some cases as well. I'm really motivated to open cases for once, because we have actually got some cool new stuff to get. I mean, for Chroma 3, there wasn't anything I was too interested in there. None of the skins were too great. It was just the old knives again, I guess. I mean, I guess some of the Chroma 3 skins were actually pretty cool, like the UMP and the Chantico's Fire. That's actually kind of a cool skin. But these emerald knives, oh man, I really got to get one of these. They're so cool, but they may actually, after a while, they may start to become cheaper than Ruby and Sapphire. And the reason I say that is it's going to take a while. These are going to be worth more than Sapphire and Ruby for a very long time. But eventually they may become cheaper, and that's just because, I mean, there's like a double as high chance to get these rather than a Ruby or Sapphire. And that's because there's only 1 special phase in this case, and in the other case there was 3 special phases. I mean, Black Pearl, it's only like a 1% chance to get, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. But there is a much higher chance to get an emerald than it. Well, I mean, it's technically the same as getting a specific one, I believe, but I do think that these are going to be more common because they only have 1 to choose from instead of having to pick either Ruby or Sapphire. I'm actually not completely positive on how the rarities work, but I think it makes sense that way. But here's the gut knife. Even the gut knife emerald is still pretty cool, and I don't know what the prices on these are going to be, and because at the moment there's so little of them, but they're going to be selling for probably more than every Sapphire and Ruby for at least the first couple of months. Not sure if they'll eventually get below them, but these are just super high tier and really nice knives. And again, it's really surprising that they only added these and not the aqua phase. But I think they might have actually taken into consideration that it would screw up the case hardened market. I don't know if Valve really took that into consideration, or if they just only wanted emerald. Who knows? But those are all the different Dopplers, all the different icons, and all the different in-game knives. It took me a while to record all of that, so I hope you guys found that part helpful. So for the rarities, I'm pretty sure this is going to be how it works, because I've looked in the game files, and the emerald knife is considered legendary, and Sapphire and Ruby were also considered legendary, and then Black Pearl is mythical, so that's only a 1% chance. But to get a legendary in the old cases for Chroma cases to get a Doppler, it was around a 10% chance, so 10% chance to get either a Ruby or a Sapphire. So I'm guessing that also means it's 10% to get an Emerald, because Emerald is also legendary, and Ruby and Sapphire were legendary. But that technically means that Emerald is more common than Ruby and Sapphire, because there's Ruby and Sapphire, but here it's just Emerald. So basically, the Emerald is as rare as both Ruby and Sapphire combined, if that makes sense. But I am not completely certain on this. It just makes perfect sense according to the game files, but we'll have to see what happens when more start to get dropped. But I think this makes sense for the time being. And when it comes to the Gamma Dopplers, it's just like the normal Dopplers when it comes to the wear values. It's a very low chance to get a minimal wear one, but you can get a minimal wear. The majority of the time you will get a factory new one, and you cannot get field tested while worn or battle scarred, and you can't really get minimal wear, but sometimes it happens. It's very unlucky for your knife to be minimal wear. It should normally be factory new, but that is how the wear values and rarity on these knives work. So hopefully after this video, there's not going to be people all confused on the phases and trying to call certain phases emerald when they clearly aren't. This video clearly pointed out all the differences and how to tell them apart by hand and by using CSGO Exchange. And also, I'm going to be giving away another knife to someone that signs up to the site GameFlip with my code, which is Mskins. GameFlip's a site just like OP Skins. It's actually pretty cool though. You can chat with the people that are selling the skins, and there's just a lot of nice features on there that OP Skins doesn't have. And maybe one day it will be the same size as OP Skins. Right now it's pretty small, but anyone that uses the code Mskins and has their trade link on there, you'll be entered into a giveaway for another $200 knife. I've already given away 2 of them, so I'm going to be doing that every week now. So anyone that just signs up with that code, I believe you also get a free $1 for using that code if you verify your phone number. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm Mcskillet, and I'm out.